So welcome everyone to our presentation of Life as Medicine within the context of the World Art Therapy Conference. We're just really all very honored and very blessed to be here to share the work that we're doing, work and play and praying that we're doing to bring the healing arts not only into the world for Indigenous people here in Canada, on Turtle Island and around the world, but also to help heal the wounds of colonization for all of us, both colonizers and Indigenous. So we're going to offer an opening smudge just for ourselves here, and I welcome you if you do smudge and have smudging materials in your space or a water blessing bowl or whatever you do to set your intentions, whatever you do to take some moment of prayerful peace for yourself, to open to what we're going to share here today, to participate with us. And as you feel so inspired, to art along with us as we share our teachings today, our wisdoms, our blessings, our hopes, our intentions for world healing through life as medicine. So I'm just honoring the plants that are burning here in the bowl. I'm washing my mind to bring it, to quiet it and bring it into our space. I'm bringing the medicines to my eyes so that I might see beauty, into my mouth so that the truth I'm speaking will be gentle, to my heart for the healing of my own heart and all of our hearts today, and to my feet to welcome a good and gentle connection with Earth Mother. May I walk well upon Earth Mother at this time. So I'm just going to welcome my resistor sister, Jean Tait, to co-create with me today and offer a blessing for us into the space. Welcome, Jean.
Thank you, Fyre. I'm holding a small tie of tobacco. For us, the protocol is that tobacco always comes first, and this tobacco will be burned and the prayers released in that way. I also use a bowl of water, and that water has stood out in the sun and during the full moon, and both the solar and the lunar energies are inside that water. I have a pinch of sea salt as well, because our beings are very much beginning in water, and we revere water in a very, very deep way, as all of us began that way, and we cannot survive long without it. Kichimanatu, Creator, grandmothers, grandfathers, we give our thanks for having the opportunity to come together in this way today, giving our thanks of gratitude for Upper Sky World with its many celestial bodies in the multiverse, for the star nation that holds our ancestors, Grandfather Sun, who gives us that beautiful light, Grandmother Moon, who influences the tides and the waters upon Mother Earth. We give thanks for the ozone and ask that humans, the two-leggeds, wake up to the destruction that we are putting upon our Earth Mother with what we do, creating holes in our own atmosphere. We give thanks for the cloud people as they bring the rains. We give thanks for the very air that we breathe, which is the breath of each one of our ancestors, recycled over time. We give thanks for Earth Mother, for her rock grandfathers who have had their records from time beginning upon Mama Earth. We give thanks for the water beings and all the waters upon her. We give thanks for the standing people, the trees, for her earth that grows plants and medicines. We give thanks for the four-leggeds. We give thanks for the creepy crawlers and the pollinators, for the winged ones, for all the blessings that are offered each day. We look to become good stewards of our lands that each one of us are upon, becoming aware of the care that we need to express to our Mother, the Earth. We pray for a good experience with all, that we are seeing one another with the eyes of our heart. We are expressing empathy, compassion, and listening very closely to what each one of us has to share as our gifts. Help us have a good conference and a good time together. All my relations.
Beautiful. Thank you. I just wanted to mention the image over my head here, the burning candle in the circle of stones, in the circle of sacreds, on a beautiful bed of red willow shavings, and that being on a bed of sharp ice crystals, and that being on a plate, a green plate symbolizing our Earth Mother. That this was installed as the opening of our World Conference, and as a particular art strategy or creation called the eco-bricolage, made with love and intention towards us coming together as a whole, us coming together during the time of this conference, and as we near the end of the conference, that many relationships have been woven and interwoven, and that we are held by this braid of sweetgrass, that these relationships will be sweet and will be prolific and will be our medicine as we journey forward. So just a reminder of that medicine. We're going to open into our circle here, our circle of sharing ourselves and our teachings, our circle of sharing life as medicine, the current collaboration that we are emerging into the world at this time, the circle of Indigenous healing arts. And so my name is Fyre Jean Graveline, and I'm originally from the small Michif community, Rawls Island, in the northern bush country of Manitoba, Canada. And my Utsi connection, my mother is Olive Therese Belfour Gayou, who is born in a small community right outside of Duck Lake, Saskatchewan, the Métis homelands, or one of the Métis homelands of resistance, of course. Duck Lake is known for our resistance. And my father is Norbert Maurice Graveline Nibaudreau, and is originally grew up in Saint Laurent, Manitoba, a very well-known Métis homelands as well. And my relatives are both Indigenous and settler. We are all mixed bloods, and we have all been journeyers and travelers. And so I've made my home in many places, and currently am here in Mi'kma'ki, the traditional territories of the Mi'kmaq people in Nova Scotia, Canada, on the East Coast. And so I just want to welcome my ancestors into this space with us. And I guess I'll just say that for now, and we'll be offering more in as we go around. We will be having a 3-round process. And so first we'll be introducing ourselves in, and then we'll be addressing some of the projects of Life as Medicine, and then we'll be doing some closing comments. Jean, would you like to introduce yourself in next?
Thank you, Fyre. My name is Jean. I'm of mixed ancestry as well. My mother was born on a First Nations reserve, Barons River, which is about halfway up Lake Winnipeg, Manitoba in Canada, central Canada. She grew up in her grandparents' house, and we can trace our lineage all the way back to 1763. We're treaty people, with my great-great-grandfather, Chief Jacob Barons, signing Treaty Number 5. My father's of European descent. I have been an artist for many years and am involved in Life as Medicine Circle of Indigenous Healing Arts as one of the directors. We have worked together, Fyre and all of those who you will see appearing today. I have been an art therapist for a number of years, have a private practice, but am most excited about the offerings that we'll be sharing with you today, which is community-based work and Indigenous healing arts. Louisa, would you like to introduce yourself?
Thank you, Jean and Fyre. Pinisuak nagawan chikiyo the Senegasan. Uteni knows chi pinisuak and inuak the kakinaw ni wahu maganak. My name is Louisa Lamothe. I am the daughter of Annie Evans. She's the daughter of Louisa Moose, and she is the daughter of Bella Moose. And my matriarchal lineage leads right back to the first Indigenous human being that came here to Turtle Island, and that's who I am. I'm a Swampy Cree woman from Treaty 5 in northern Manitoba, Cross Lake Cree Nation. I'm currently living on Mi'kmaq land, the territories, and I'm in Stratford, Prince Edward Island. I want to give gratitude at this time for being here with you all and the opportunity to share the passion that I've found myself in as a student in art therapy with Life as Medicine and the Circle of Indigenous Healing Arts. I'm just currently finishing the Expressive Art Therapy and Art Therapy Diploma program. And it's a huge teaching for me to finally be in a place where, as an Indigenous woman, be in a place of our own cultural ways of being and learning. This has been the biggest gift I've received. As a mother, a grandmother, and a great-grandmother, I've had many struggles with education and living in the space of colonization. I'm part of the residential school system. A lot of difficulties and issues there, and when I found the Indigenized Art Therapy program, it was surely a blessing for me. I'd like to just speak a little bit to that point because it's so critically important. It has been for me, and I want to ensure that I express how wonderful this is to finally find at this stage of my life a program that holds me in such a healing space, such a healing place, in a way that I've never experienced in my whole life. Through my grade school, through high school, through any kind of education that I had. This is the first time in my late 60s that I've been gifted with a program that teaches me in a way that my whole being responds to and carries that. So this is Life as Medicine is a gift for me, and I know it's a gift. It will be a gift for the future generations. I can only focus on my own at this point, and I do want this for them. It's an important life space for me right now to ensure that my grandchildren and my great-grandchildren are able to access this kind of way of learning and being on Mother Earth. It's been a long time. We're coming full circle with finding our way, and it's so critically important for us in this time of being so lost. As an Indigenous woman, that space of finding my way, Life as Medicine has helped me tremendously to do that. So I think I'll just start with that, and thank you. Chris?
Hello, everyone. I'm very honored to be here with you all today, and I am Chris Larsen from southern Manitoba, the very center of Canada. I am a Métis woman. I live in the Red River Valley, and it's in Treaty 1, the homeland of the Métis Nation. I am an artist and art therapist, and I'm a grandmother and teacher for Life as Medicine. And Life as Medicine has been my teacher. I've learned that my ancestors, my Métis ancestors, were warriors, and my great-great-grandfather was on the Louis Riel Council, and Louis Riel was the leader of the resistance. And so I find myself in this place where we are celebrating the Indigenous knowledge and the knowledge that leads to healing. So I thank you for being here, and wishing you a good day.
Beautiful. Thank you, everyone, for your amazing introductions. I feel already we've shared so much with the community. So we want to shift a little bit now into talking more directly, even though Louisa has done an amazing intro in already, just share some more about Life as Medicine, what our common themes are, what our intentions are, and share also some videos of the kinds of events and the kinds of teachings that we are moving out into the world. So I'm just going to start with a little bit of poetry that I've scribed from my current offering into the world, which is the Life as Medicine. I call it the manuscript in the making, because I never seem to quite get time to finish it, but I'm hopeful that it will be out in the world soon. And so I just want to share just a couple paragraphs that I've written into a poem to give us an opening, and then we're going to share some video from a national conference, the Canadian Art Therapy Association conference, where we just did a full day as Life as Medicine. So, Life as Medicine is a weaving of ancestral and contemporary teachings and revelations, where we collaboratively journey together, giving and receiving guidance and support on our healing journeys. We connect with many strong Indigenous elders, grandmothers, grandfathers of many nations. We reach within our own beingness and reach out to our relatives. We connect with educators, healers, artists, activists, and ceremonial leaders. We connect with our Earth Mother, metaphorically and practically. And we learn through ceremony from our ancestors and our guides. And of course, we dive deeply and learn from and within our own creations and our collaborative creations. We engage daily in holistic, integrative practices. We honor the mental, the spiritual, the emotional, the physical, the relational, the ecological, and the structural dimensions of our reality. We acknowledge them all as interwoven and interactive. We know identity and meaning are all relational. Our time and energy is dedicated to creative pathways and processes for ongoing recovery and sustainability. As we, like Earth Mother, in these current times of rapidly escalating environmental devastation, we are currently subject to spiraling conditions of oppression, injustice, abuse, polarization, capitalization, and extractivism. We honor the arts as mutually arising within ancestral, spiritual, cultural, material, and ecological lives. This has been happening since time immemorial. Arts have always been our medicine. Throughout all ages and stages, healing arts have returned us as Indigenous peoples to a state of balance and peace within our own beingness, and have helped us restore our relationality with our families, our communities, our societies. The arts have rewoven the connections between humans and Earth Mother, between Earth Mother and all our relations, and between us and our ancestral and universal energies. Life as medicine re-inspires us to continue our collective struggles for global decolonization and for rematriation. Both are necessary to bring true and lasting reconciliation between and among women and men, between and among all nations, and between and among humans and Earth Mother and all living beings. So necessary today. When we collaboratively engage in this work and play, we are actively supporting cultural and creative resurgence. We are joining in resistance against ongoing enculturation, ongoing colonialization, ongoing gender oppression, ableism, heteronormativity, and earth destruction. We are healing fragmentation, repairing wounds and scars received in our battles to transform dominant and still dominating systems. Through life as medicine, we can embrace our rights, our responsibilities, our obligations. To be, to live truthfully and share our voices heartfully. To believe in the wisdoms, really, of our ancestors. To belong in harmonious webs of relatedness with each other, and to become to become the medicine that we are, and to become one with Earth Mother as protectors and defenders of the waters and of Earth Mother. So we are simultaneously and synergistically working and playing and praying towards revitalization of life, sustainable, ancestral, rematriated worldviews. In summary, these can be said to be egalitarianism and respectful, reciprocal relationality. We reaffirm that all healing contributes to our greater good, and that reestablishing reciprocity means we journey together towards wholeness and oneness. All my relations. Zoom, I guess.
Rematriation at the CATA Conference 2022 with Life is Medicine.
So just to remind that our this is our logo, beautifully crafted by Tait from one of her amazing rock art contributions. I don't know if I don't think I embedded the original in anything, unfortunately, but hopefully Jean may be showing that. She will be doing a rock art petroglyphs presentation as part of our day today. And so just honoring the sacred guardian as always present with us in this work, and the sacred rematriation guardian for our Heartivist work. Next slide. So just to, what is rematriation? And many of you probably already Googled it because it's just a word emerging at this time. But rematriation fundamentally is the return to the mother. How do we return to the sacred power of creation? Because right now we are in a turmoil with all of the destruction that's happening. So we honor creation by offering love, respect, reciprocity to all life forms, including Earth Mother, Grandmother Moon, and all our relations. And of course, anyone that has heard us all pray, when we're talking about all our relations, we're talking about the trees and the plants and the animals and the birds and the snakes and all of the water life and all relations, including the stone people. And all our relations, including all of us, including each other together here in the circle. So rematriation more specifically is about empowering our grandmothers, our mothers, our matriarchs, all mothers, sisters, daughters, to restore the divine balance of the feminine and the masculine. Because that balance is very much out of focus and out of whack also, which is leading to the extractivism and overpowering of our Earth Mother at this time. So when we talk about Heartivism, it's our intentional creative change processes made possible when we make visible, give form, sound, movement, voice, words to what we have lived through. We engage in transformative changes on many interwoven levels. So not only the so-called personal, but we are wanting to make change on the intergenerational, the collective, the ecological levels, the structural levels. And so when we talk about Heartivist, we're replacing therapist to continuously remind ourselves to welcome more practical, respectful, egalitarian, and humble healing roles that are interwoven with necessary political roles as educators, as allies, as advocates, as activists. Next slide.
We create times and spaces and places for the integration of multiple complementary ways of knowing and healing. We flow with ancestral teachings. All beings are encouraged to engage more of our senses to heal and to welcome healing from our many sources, some unexpected, lived experiences, relatives, ancestors, descendants, Earth Mother, star nations, and all our relations. Rational, distance mental health promoted by white, right experts is one-eyed, only one way of seeing and being. Next slide.
We embrace stories of lived experiences as a starting place for all healing and empowerment. We recognize and name all forms of power over, domination, authority, and oppression enacted by people and systems. We grow together, locating so-called personal experiences of traumas within social and historical contexts as frozen in our shared ice fields, our intergenerational, collective, extractivist trauma fields. We nurture conscious awareness, providing fertile ground upon which heartivist identities will take root, grow, blossom, and provide more nourishing fruit and seeds for generations to come.
We encourage being in and listening to First Voice as inspiring change for listeners and speakers. Through First Voice, we each directly experience and sense that our understanding is continuously filtered through our shared and distinct lens of locatedness. Authority to speak for or about particular people and locations are honored within webs of our relationality and intersectionality. More simply put, who am I simultaneously answers our question, what can I speak about?
We engage in Indigenous ancestral teachings within collaborative healing places and spaces. We sense heartfelt changes in our overall atmosphere and within heartists and heartivists through active engagement in ceremony, in storytelling, language revitalization, in singing, in smudging, in giving a water blessing, in dancing, and in feasting. We re-experience rich gifts of ancestral resiliencies and revitalize Indigenous rematriated spiritual worlds which were not long ago evilized and made illegal.
We facilitate sharing circles as egalitarian rematriating opportunities for creating collaborative healing we space. We encourage sharing and witnessing by all beings to re-story respectful and reciprocal relationality. Together, we express our daily lived experiences, both pains of traumas and growing resiliencies, sharing our creations, our healing journey in circle enables growth in our response abilities. We witness for and with our relatives to sense and feel all beings as part of a larger, ever emerging and still reweaving ancestral, communal, and ecological story blanket.
Rematriated relationality honors the interweave of personal healing and family, community, and world sustainability. Together, we nurture transformative changes in wellness within each being, which ripples out to families, communities, nations, systems, and Earth Mother, and our multiverse. I should put that in. We are heartivists in collective and collaborative movements to end all forms of domination, ending violence against Indigenous, racialized peoples, specifically women, children, Two Spirits, and Earth Mother.
We embrace the personal is political. We uncover and challenge colonial, racist, misogynist, ableist, hetero underpinnings and overtones of our shared ice trauma fields, biographical, intergenerational, collective, and ecological. We support our relatives to understand that we are not alone and we are not to blame for well-documented horrific soul woundings many have received. See the Truth and Reconciliation Commission 2017, Missing and Murdered Indigenous Women and Girls, and it's expanded,
Yeah.
2019, and the 60s Scoop 2021. We acknowledge gender-based violence as pandemic in his historical and modern patriarchal industrialized systems, revitalizing ancestral interdependent matriarchal ways provides radical lens to review and transform our current shared extractivist world ecology.
We recognize that collectivity counts. We know traumas are not just a personal problem. All hierarchical isms operate through people enacting now common sense, re-traumatizing policies, structures, practices, and beliefs. These all impact all of us and our relations. Within diverse locatedness, within our daily lived experiences. Collective actions, advocacy, and activism are crucial in supporting all beings to heal and to work and play and pray together, to collectively challenge and change dominant and still dominating systems.
We work, play, and pray to accept our difficulties as opportunities. We recognize our inevitable ongoing challenges and struggles as opportunities, reminding always about our shared ice fields. We notice, when do I shut down, react, tune out, ignore, or allow painful experiences in? Where and when do I name relational, intergenerational, social, cultural, gendered, political, environmental undercurrents and overtones directly? How can I flow with the greater good of all of creation, all our relations? When I am called to be in service, how do I align with rematriating ancestral ethics and engage actively in reciprocal, interdependent, and responsible ways to restore respectful relations for and with all beings?
We respond with love and gratitude, concern for Mother Earth as a living being with rights. We are Earth. All elemental energies, air, fire, water, and earth are transformative healers. Reweaving our interdependence with Earth Mother and all our relations taps directly into our innate ancestral resiliencies to heal. We re-inspire hearts and souls to stand for and with our Mother in times of desperate need. We are currently living within. We know we are standing for and with our ancestors and our descendants.
Let's just let that land for a minute. Yeah, so the rematriation day that we did for CATA was very beautiful and very inspiring to work at a national level here in a Canadian context to bring life as medicine to life in a group of art therapists across Canada. And there were also some from the world. So we're just really humbled and honored to share that with you. And we'll be bringing actually another clip in later for closing that were testimonials from our day long, just to give you a sense of what it is to be in a longer process with us. But for today, we're each going to take a turn now in our circle, have another go around and say a little bit about the meaning of life as medicine, the work of life as medicine personally for each of us. So for me, as a visionary for life as medicine, I guess I would relate to the context of my own life, the L in life as medicine is for the lived. And in my own healing journey, and in my own journey of oppression, in my own journey of violence, in my own journey of being harmed as a child, as a youth, as a woman, I experienced a community. My nearby community I was raised by was very racist, very homophobic, very sexist, and very violent, and turned into, in my teenage years, to a resource extraction community from being kind of like a quiet community in the middle of the woods. So, that has really moved my life and my work towards wanting to understand on a personal level, on a lived level, what is violence about? What are the impacts, and how can we heal from it? And all of the training that I took, and all of the ways and spaces and places I went, I was always trying to find out, like, what is it about this? Why is it that I feel so deeply wounded? And what can I do to heal? And, I'm in my 60s now. I feel like I have learned some things from that journey. From my teenage years on, I've been journeying through social work and through academia and through my PhD and through many means, and also through ceremony and through being on the land. What can I do to heal? And so the things that I've found to be the most healing is really addressing with others who shared my lived experience, what does it look like, and how can I be honest about the truth of my reality, and how can I be in a space where others are validating that? So that's the journey of lived. I can land in my own experience and speak the truth of it and be heard and witnessed. Indigenous ceremonies, Indigenous elders, my own Indigenous parents, my Indigenous sisters, as I've moved through many Indigenous women's groups, worked in violence against women, gender-based violence. That movement to end violence against women, and Indigenous women in particular, has held me and loved me, and so has my ceremonial communities and my elders over the years. And then the F for feminist really arises out of my time in the 70s, when I moved from the bush community I grew up in to the city and went into social work training, and landed by accident in a rape crisis center as one of my first placements, and learned, wow, the personal is political. Wow, I am not at fault for my sexual trauma. I'm not to blame for my trauma, that this is part of a political system. So I still am on the journey of understanding how structural dimensions impact us, and moving away from individualizing pain and trauma, and moving towards looking at the collective nature of our trauma, but also of our healing. And then the E, ecological. I was born and raised in the bush. I spent most of my childhood communing with the frogs, and with the mice, and with the trees, and all through my life returned over and over again, both in ceremony. We always are on Earth Mother for ceremony, but over and over again to the woods, over and over again to the river, to the lake, to the ocean. I'm a water defender, a land defender, an ecologist, environmentalist, and an environmental activist. And so I am here to speak for and with Earth Mother and the water for healing. So those are just a little snapshot of my connections to life as medicine. And I guess just the acronym in general, life as medicine, the metaphor. My father, who was an incredible healer and love of my life, really, he used to always say, like when we would be hurt or harmed, like, to look for the teaching in it, to look for the message in it. And so also, what is it about our lives, about our struggles, about our joys? How is that a teaching for us? And once we get the teaching ourselves, once we find the medicine, then that's part of our bundle, and we're able to bring that medicine to others. And so I offer today my own life as medicine, and welcome you to journey with us. So thank you for this honor. I want to turn it over to Jean Tait.
Thank you, Fyre. You do such a wonderful job of explaining the LIFE, life in as medicine. For me, because I came to art therapy through my connection to land, what has spoken to me over the years most deeply is to be on the land itself and in places where many ancestors, not necessarily my own ancestors always, but many peoples who have been there and journeyed to these very special sacred spots. And what I'm referring to are the ancient symbols that are in the pictograph or petroglyph form. So pictographs are created by pigment that's put together with some sort of binder. It could be bear grease, it could be duck grease. There's a variety of different methods of creating the paint that are the ancients used to paint onto the rocks. And the pect images are petroglyphs, and these are all over the world. And in Turtle Island, which is North America, they are sometimes on horizontal surfaces in very, very hard rock. And in other places, they're carved into sandstone cliffs, which is a very soft surface. So you heard a reference to my doing a piece of work in the ReMatriation symposium that we did for the Canadian Art Therapy Association in 2022. And what I thought I would do is just also show you a painting that's based on rock art, and was also the foundation for what we derived our logo from. So I'm just going to share my screen and show you that. So when I talk about the land and rock art, I was a painter of landscapes in watercolor, and I went to this most amazing place in southern Alberta, and it's a provincial park, and then there are other sites next to it that is called Writing on Stone. And these images are put onto the sandstone cliffs, and they have been vision-seeking sites. They have been historical recordings of events. So when I talk about life as medicine, when I went to this particular place, something happened to me there. And from that point onward, this is what my subject became. My fascination with symbols became, because I found no matter where I went from that point onward, that the rock as that ancestral teacher, the earth being the actual ancestral teacher, was what was happening for me. So for me, it's quite a direct experience. And that's also what I bring with me wherever I go with whatever I'm involved in. Beyond that, I'm just going to stop sharing. So for the lived experience, that's been what led me into art therapy, what led me into especially working with women, whether it's in a community open studio environment, whether it's in all levels of prison, working with groups dealing with anger, dealing with suicide, dealing with all sorts of challenges. So the feminine part of things, I'm always looking in the work I do to lift up that sacred feminine, to connect our families together, to connect with youth, to really become aware of how can we be of assistance to our peoples. So for me, that walking our talk, which we talk about, and we actually have courses that we offer and classes that we offer that are based simply on that idea of how do we move forward in life and be the true selves that we're meant to be? How do we pull all of what we know, what we have as our gifts, to be able to offer those? So I think that's what I'd like to end with, and invite Louisa to talk about her journey.
Thank you, Jean and Fyre. Life is medicine. It's so huge in my life. The acronym, the lived experience, my Indigenous way of being, my Indigenous life, the feminist space within me, and the ecological, the grounding space, that whole life is medicine is my grounding place. Wherever I'm at each day, when I'm coming into spaces that cause me to question, to stop, I go back to that place. Where am I on the sacred medicine wheel? Is this a lived experience that I'm struggling with, or is it an Indigenous experience? So I travel that medicine wheel regularly. It's a part of who I am as an Indigenous woman. And it takes me to that place of, just to give you an experience, the whole training program that I've been in with Life as Medicine was the most healing parts were the experientials of going through the teachings and reaching those spaces within my own human body, and realizing that I was carrying so much trauma, and finding it and identifying it and finding the medicine that would help me to heal. So it is medicine. And when I go back and I think of my my space as an Indigenous woman, yes, there were great traumas. Of course, with the residential schools, as a young woman that had no cultural teachings, there were no cultural learnings or teachings within anywhere where I lived. I didn't even know there was such a thing. And the first time I went to a traditional ceremony, I was already in my early 30s. I didn't even know. That's how powerful that oppressive colonization of who we were as Indigenous people, that's how strong it was to clear all those away. And we still have those that don't even know that we have these gifts within our nations. So it's a very strong space. So we do need medicine, and the purpose that I go to within wanting to carry this medicine forward is in my own personal life. We lost. There are 5 generations from me that we don't have the teachings. It goes to my mother, my grandmother, and my great-grandmother, but also to my children and my grandchildren. So there's 5 generations to bring this medicine to, and I would never have had this had I not been invited to, been gifted the wisdom and the knowledge from all the Indigenous professors, teachers, artists, facilitators that gifted not only me, but many of us over the past few years. So how do I take this medicine now and apply it, ensure that I can, my first responsibility is to my family, to myself, then my family and my community, than my nation. So now that I've been gifted this medicine, and it's I've embedded it within me as an Indigenous woman, and within the next while, when I graduate from this program, I will feel sure of myself that I've been given this sacred knowledge from very powerful elders and teachers. So now, how do I use the medicine? I'm beginning now. I will go to my family and my children and my grandchildren and my great-grandchildren, and just a little idea of how I can do that. Right now, I'm just going to be traveling home to my homelands, and now we're receiving gifts of life, and so I can go and share what I've learned. I can go and administer some of the medicine that I'm carrying, because I know now how to approach in a very good way with my family, how to offer in a very good way, how to do it with my cultural teachings, and go and do the ceremonies for these new gifts of life. And in that giving of this medicine, the community will see, my family will share, the community will know about that, and that's how the medicine moves around. It has its own spirit, its own energy, and that's what I received from Life as Medicine. It's gifted me with it's strengthened that inner fire that I carry within me, and given me the tools to keep that and make it strong, and bring back my teachings in a very good way. So yes, I go back to that again. Life is medicine. It's such a powerful gift that I've been given. My lived experience now I don't carry it as a trauma, as a burden. I carry it now that it's a gift. My life is a gift I was given, and I have responsibilities that go along with that gift. And I didn't know that. I didn't understand that whole concept because I was too busy carrying all those burdens of the traumas. And this past 2.5 years with the program it's been like true therapy. Where do we go as far as education and learning, where it's healing? What kind of training can you do? Well, I for one can tell you this is what I've received. I've received pure, energetic, loving, caring medicine from Life as Medicine, and that's what I can now carry on in my own family. I can never give enough gratitude for what's been gifted to me, and it's there for all of us. Yes. Thank you very much for letting me share this space with you. Chris?
Oh, you all speak so well. Life as Medicine, for me, has opened up a whole new life for me. I did not grow up with an Indigenous background. Our history, the Métis history, was hidden from us. We had a lot of shame. Our community did not know any of the healing teachings of the Indigenous people. And so it was a very colonial, conservative community. So I set out to find out more about it, and through my art, the art therapy, and through Life as Medicine, it's really opened up a whole new world for me, and I'm so grateful. I had the opportunity of working with Anishinaabe and Métis women elders and hearing their stories of resilience. And of course, as an artist, I wanted to portray that somehow. And I actually worked with this group for 3 years. We met every 6 weeks here in my home beside the river where the Métis had settled and then were removed from their land. My grandson and I found a washed up bridge board. It was 16 feet long, washed up into the trees. And it was beautifully sculpted by the rivers, the water. And I took that and we hung it in my forest. And then I created portraits of these women to hang on the bridge board being a metaphor for bridging our cultures. So I have a picture of it, if a little video, if I can share it with you. Who told their stories of what made them strong. And their resilience through the years, so they could pass it on to the future generations. That's just a little clip of, actually did a 1-hour video of them and their stories called The Story Shifters. But Life as Medicine, working with Fyre Jean and the knowledge keepers, validated the blood memories that I had inside of me. I always knew I wanted to be by the river, and I always loved nature. And so it validated the knowledge that I actually had inside myself, and that now I'm able to extend it to others that have that same hunger for knowledge, for the Indigenous knowledge. And so, my love, using this love of nature and the science, and working with ceremony and natural materials and storytelling and paint and visual journaling, it seems to resonate with the people that I work with, Indigenous and non-Indigenous people. And so it really, as an artist, I've known that the arts heal, and this was such a beautiful fit for myself. So yeah, I think that's what I wanted to say today.
So thanks to everybody for your awesome shares. And we're going to move right now into sharing a video that Chris has created that features a workshop that we did, a land-based workshop we did locally here, because we're trying to work globally, locally, nationally, and globally. And so this is a piece of local healing work that we did on the land a couple of months ago called Me as Tree, We as Forest.
Life as Medicine workshop, Me as Tree, We as Forest. We envisioned a space for personal healing with and within the forest of trees. By inspiring with words and fire, dance and song, we created living landscapes that touched our spirit, and grandmother dollies to restore our connections, to restore our interdependence with Mother Earth and all she holds, along with our ancestors.
Life as Medicine, Restoring Ecological Independence. We are living in a very special time right now. The shifts and connections of Mother Earth and the things that she's doing allows us to learn, to grow, and to evolve. Our Mother, the Earth, holds our medicine. And it was with this very deep pleasure and great need that I gifted myself the offering of the retreat, Life as Medicine, Restoring Ecological Independence, with Chris Larsen and Fyre Jean Graveline. The first step that I made was setting my space up at the retreat and going into the forest and finding my spot, connecting with my relations, the trees, the ash, the birch, poplars, and even the red willows in all their beauty. I knew I was where I needed to be at that time for the healing that I needed through the difficulties that are happening. So I offered my medicines and I introduced myself and stated my intention of goodwill, but I wasn't prepared for all the blessings and the healings that would happen in that space. The gathering of us as grandmothers, the women, the men, the youth, the young children, the healers, the gifted ones that we shared such a beautiful space. The whole weekend was set for healing and creating, for communicating. The most important and special gift that I received were when we were led, each of us were led into the forest, and we connected with nature. We connected with the surface we sat on. We leaned ourselves against the trees, and that's where the magic happened for me. I connected with a grand old birch tree, and I sat with her. And I began to share spontaneously. I went back to a memory of when as a young girl and not knowing why I didn't fit anywhere. I didn't fit in my home after residential school. I didn't fit in the world that I was trying to go into to try and work. And it was a very difficult and sad space to be in, just not fitting anywhere. And that memory came up for me, so I wrote about it. And within the hour or so, our gracious facilitators led us back, and we rested, we feasted a bit, and then we went right into creating what came to us in that space. And I forgot all about my memory of walking in two worlds. It had already gone. But when I started creating, I began to create this tall being. It was so beautiful. And in that space, I understood that the grand birch had connected with my soul, because my creation ended up being a creation that had two sides to it. One side, the yarn was braided into beautiful braids, and the other side, the yarn was just flying free and all over the place. On one side, there were beautiful symbols of medicines, and on the other side were just bland, open spaces. But she was standing straight. She was standing tall. And then I understood that was that memory of that young girl not understanding and being sad about walking Mother Earth in two different worlds and not fitting. And through that, we were led to the talking circle. We were led to play. We created, we danced, we sang. And today I can sit and look at myself and I know that I'm walking well. I'm walking very well. I've let that part go. I've released it. And it's good that that young girl was able to carry me through to this space at 67 years old now, and I'm walking well. Thank you to Fyre and Chris for that incredible space of healing. Hi.
The day I spent with this amazing group of women was magical and uplifting. I was encouraged to walk silently through the forest, to find my feet and follow where my intuition led. I was encouraged to connect with the trees as family members, as beings who welcome company and visitors, who deserve to be asked before we interact with them. To be given time and space to connect with the land and its inhabitants is something we could all use a bit of more encouragement on. After connecting with a maple tree and sharing communal mealtime with elders and participants alike, I was encouraged to create a living landscape that told the story of the tree, the story of myself, and encouraged me to think about how the two stories could be woven together. This day of art, creativity, connection, and sharing nourished both my body and my mind.
And here's what the giant redwood had to say to me. Do not underestimate yourself, either in terms of your natural abilities or your unique personality. You have so much to offer the world that there is no need to feel inadequate or to lack self-confidence. Let me, meaning the redwood, show you the way. I am renowned for my stateliness and my awe-inspiring size. Look at this awe-inspiring size. I am majestic, and I can teach you how to attain your potential too, so that you are able to create your own power in the world and express your true self. And then I pulled Hollow. Expect magic and mystery. Expect the truth to surface out of dark and hidden places. And that's my offering to all of them.
It was a magical and profound time spent with elders, seekers, and the trees, creating the living landscape pieces and the grandmother dollies. Mine is a dragonfly spirit, or highlights for this woman who has felt intimidated by anything art related. I enjoyed diving in and trusting the process that Chris Larsen set out for us to create a living landscape. I would say that the gift of Chris's teaching is an unwavering belief she conveys. How does she do that? And that you can do what she leads you to do. Fyre Jean Graveline is a gifted facilitator and space holder, an inclusive, calm, kind, and force of nature with a mind like a sword. It was inspiring to learn from her and be a part of her collaborative deep dive into the heart of the world, the trees, the wind, the sky, and the water. Other session leaders were Louisa Lamothe and Selena Nukumi. Their graciousness and generosity are well remembered and were deeply felt.
People were encouraged to write or do poetic inquiry. My experience with Me as Tree, We as Forest spiritual retreat brought such joy, magic, freedom. Perhaps it was the spaciousness and familiar setting of the trees, an inner creative pathway opened for me here that I trust will always be with me now. We were called by grandmother Fyre to connect with the forest for insights we might receive. The first tree spirit I connected with was the maple. It would be the trees as a species that came forward, asking of us something we were to do for them, which was once had been done by our ancestors. Other messages came that day. This was the most profound for me. We spent time around the sacred fire and slept under the stars and the moon on beloved Mother Earth. We were invited to walk soft-footed through the trees, and we spoke to them and were spoken to. I sat on the forest floor for an hour for the first time in years. Healing happened for me, and I have some clarity about my next steps in life.
When